Hey, what's up, everyone? So it is, what day are we looking at here? Tuesday. So I wanted to get this out because I was going to start doing some short episodes on Tuesday and Thursday for the podcast. If you're tuning in, this is Shaping Success with Wes Tankersley. I got Facebook Live going over here. So what you're getting is you're getting a little bit of what's going on in my house when I record a podcast episode. So anyway, let's get started here. I wanted to talk about a few things today, but the first thing we're going to talk about that I want to kind of make you aware of is that I've got a couple things going on. I do have a weekly newsletter, and it's linked in the show notes, or if you follow me anywhere in social media, Facebook, Instagram, blah, 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 there's a link tree. If you check out that link tree, it'll have everything that I'm doing in there, and you just click on the weekly newsletter, throw in your email address, and I'll get you in on the weekly newsletter. I'll send you episodes, podcast links, and things like that when everything comes up, and that is my way to kind of get everyone in the loop on what's going on. I've also started a Patreon account if you want to check that out. It is in the link as well, and we are working right now on getting clothing, not clothing line, but some gear with my WT signature. If you watch the live show, you'll see it's got my signature on it. You got to work through that, but one of my friends at GameFace is making me a store so that we can get that stuff out to you if you're interested in it. They're going to be kind of made to order, but that's until we get to the point where it's kind of self-sufficient. So anyway, I just wanted to talk to you about failure today. I had a great episode on Saturday with Dave Connery, who is an artist out of Long Beach, California. I've talked to him about him a couple times. I've talked about him a couple times. The last solo episode that I did, we talked about how Dave has this thing called hater math, which is you got to check out the episode if you want to know. But it's great. It's the way that we weigh how people make negative comments to us, and how if we had more positive than negative, we would still look at the negative as a heavier weight. So just a short synopsis, like if you had 100 positive comments and you had one negative comment, you are apt to take that negative comment more seriously than you would the positive ones, even though there's more of them. So that's just kind of the gist of it. One of the things I wanted to talk about today, and this is where kind of this podcast is coming from, is one of the things that Dave said was, what do you got to do? You know, I asked him, what would you tell an artist today? And who was trying to get into art as a business or be a designer or things like that. And he said, you got to make. And to me, that really kind of hit home. What that really boils down to is you have to put yourself out there. A lot of things that I'm doing, I'm reading about this positive mindset and things like that. And the negativity will allow us to not make the correct decision, or it'll allow us to be afraid to do what we're going to want to do because we're afraid of failing. So if we're afraid of failing constantly, we're never going to make that attempt to go out there and do the things that we set forth for. So when you set a goal, you're afraid that something's going to happen. And so you won't go out there and work harder to make that happen. You're afraid that you're going to fail. Okay. So I'm reading this book right now called Limitless by Jim Quick. I heard him on Lewis Howes's podcast, The School of Greatness, and he was talking about how to create this super mind, basically. And if you haven't seen Limitless, it's a movie where the guy takes a pill and then all of a sudden activates his whole brain, and he's able to think more clearly and do all the things that he wanted to do. But that's kind of what the book's about. If you read that book and you start reading through it, you're going to see that he's talking about how you can unlock your mind. And one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm studying for this test, and I failed it the first time. So I'm trying to be better at that. I'm trying to re-engineer it so that I will be successful in passing it the second time. But he talks about a couple things. So here's one of the things that he said. He said, a person who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. So this is great, because what happens is you're never going to be successful on the first time. And if you are, like I've heard from many people, the goal wasn't high enough. If you're successful the first time you try something, it was either a mistake or it was too easy. So think about that. Think about the goals that you're setting yourself. If they're high enough to keep you in line with what you want to do. If they're not and they're too easy, and you don't fail, then you need to reset that goal. You need to figure out what it's going to take to make that harder, to make that achieve. If you've read Grant Cardone's 10X rule, he talks about setting your goals 10 times higher than what you want, because making them 10 times higher than what you're trying to obtain will make it so that you actually reach that goal and you get more out of it. Okay. Second thing that he said, instead of looking at mistakes as failures, look at them as proof that you're just trying. So when you fail, at least you're trying, right? And a lot of times we're afraid to go and put ourselves out there because we don't want to fail. We don't want other people to see us fail. So we're afraid of that failure. We have the fear of failure. The other side of that is a fear of success. So if you're successful, then everyone's going to expect that to happen. And what you need to do is continually work on everything that you're doing so that you can create that success. Even when you fail, you have to go out there and try again. Because if you don't, you're basically a quitter. Why would you quit something if you quit it, it's not that big of a goal to you. It's not something that you're really driven to do. So you have to be willing to work harder and try and attain that goal even when you fail, because if you don't, it's not a goal worth setting. Okay. Next thing I kind of got out of this book too is mistakes aren't about being perfect. They're about measuring yourself against who you were yesterday. Okay. Let's think about that. Measuring yourself about who you were yesterday. So you're measuring yourself against yourself, right? Because a lot of times we'll compare ourselves to someone else. So-and-so did this. So-and-so did that. They have better than me. Like, it's really simple for me to go look at some of these people that I'm interviewing and see how their podcast is. If I'm interviewing a podcast interviewer and seeing how many downloads they get and how successful they are and what are they doing. Well, it doesn't matter what they're doing. It's a good way to gauge how you can create better, and then you re-engineer what you're doing to make it better for yourself. So compare yourself to what you did. Don't compare yourself to what others are doing, but use their data to try and improve what you're doing, because you can only do as much as you can do. And if you don't have the drive to do it, then it's never going to happen for you. You have to be willing to put in the work. Okay. And then the last thing, and today that I saw was, there is no such thing as failure, only failure to learn. Okay. So failure is something that people are afraid of. Again, and I'm going to say that one more time. Failure is something that people are afraid of. They're afraid to fail because it's not a good feeling, right? And my challenge to you is to change that. Okay. Think of failure as fuel. Okay. Grant Cardone said in the 10X rule, it was something else that he said was, people look at failure as a red light. So people look at failure as a way to stop what you're doing because you failed, right? Successful people look at failure as a green light. So when you fail, you're willing to put in the extra work and continue moving forward. And that's what makes you successful, okay? And my podcast, again, is about shaping success, right? So what is the shape of your success? So when you figure that out, when you set that goal, when you have that mission, when you're on that path to attain your goal, you need to remember that when you fail, that's just another green light, okay? It slows you down because you got to rethink about it, and then you got to get going again. So any goal that you set that you're willing to quit is not a very good goal. It's not something that you really wish to achieve, and you need to figure out what it's going to take for you to want to get that goal accomplished. You need to work as hard as you possibly can if it is that important to you to make it happen. And don't worry about what other people think, because that's not something that you should worry about. Because if you know in your heart that it's what you want, then you're going to push for it and make it happen. So anyway, one of the things, like I've been talking about, that has been great for me is reading. Okay. I've read quite a few books in the last couple months, and my goal was to read one a week. Now that goal is kind of slowed down because I realized that I need to take in the information more than what I'm doing. So I do read every single day, but if I go through and I read a book as fast as I possibly can, I'm not getting the information out of it because I'm just reading through it. So I'm spending more time, and I'm trying to read at least 30 minutes a day because I want to make sure that I'm taking in that information. Now, I've got 2 degrees sitting on the wall over here, and I've talked about this before, but I read 0 books when I was in college, okay? And it wasn't like when I was in high school and I got a 3-point GPA just because I got a 4.0 when I was a senior. I got really good GPAs in college. I had a 3.65 in my bachelor's, and I had a 3.87 in my master's. Okay. And the thing is you can get good grades without reading. You don't have to do that. But the information that you took in wasn't very helpful, right? And so that's the thing. It's like, find something. If you have something and you want to be an expert in it and you have a goal you want to achieve, go find the book, read the whole thing, be the expert on that, and work through it. Okay. So I just want to say thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for listening through this. If you could do me a favor, please go into wherever you're listening to this, give it a 5-star review, send me some feedback, check me out on my social media platforms, DM me if you have any questions or if you have a guest that you think would be great. I've got another great one coming up on Saturday, and I'm working on the one for the following week. But always looking for guests, always looking for inspiring people, different walks of life, different successes, and different things like that. So if you haven't checked out some of the past episodes, listen to them. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of good interviews of people who have had to work through things that ordinary people have a hard time saying, hey, I can't do this because of whatever. We need to go back and look at some of these people who have pushed through adversity and got there, because that's the biggest thing. When we fail, we give up. All right. So I want to leave you with that today. Find the shape of your success. Okay. And don't give up when you fail. Again, follow me wherever you can. Hit me up. Have a great day.